Hey, have you been missing the handler from World? That goofy cutie with the spectacularly dangerous impulse control issue? Me too. And I'm not even being sarcastic about that. I liked the handler. I don't care what anyone else says. Well, now we can all remember her in Wilds by dressing up Alma, the spectacularly more competent and perhaps almost undeniably cuter handler, just like the sadly nameless World handler. So that's fun. And hey, let's dive in on that actually. As long as we're objectifying their looks, who do you think is cuter, Alma or the World handler? I'm gonna have to go with Alma. Fun fact, Alma does actually look quite a lot like my first serious girlfriend. Hello again, I am Blunty, and I'm feeling very excited and just a little bit smug and self-satisfied now that we've experienced the Title Update 1 reveal, which lands in our games in just a fraction over a week's time. And so here we go, here's the somewhat almost feeling mandatory coverage and or opinion piece about what we're getting in that Title Update. But hey, before we get to the first thing, let's talk about the last thing. They ended the presentation with a tease for what was rather unmistakably Legicrus. So for those of you who whined about him in my last video and hoped and prayed and begged that Nagi would make an appearance, well, there you go. It's on his way. So then, first things second, as it were. We knew Mitsuzune was coming, of course, the fan favourite Bubble Fox that was already teased weeks ago, and I made a video a couple of days back in anticipation of the Title Update 1 stream where I preemptively gushed about Mitzi. And while it seems we didn't quite get the wish I expressed in that video, that of a Wilk-powered guardian form of Mitzi, it's also very clear that I was on the right track absolutely, because Wild's Mitsuzune clearly has a significantly updated moveset, borrowing stuff from some of its other variants and rare subspecies, just as I hoped and prayed for, alongside some genuinely new things. So as you might imagine, I'm pretty damn excited to fight this notoriously mobile and adaptable monster with Wild's heavy and grounded combat systems, as opposed to matching him in mobility and speed like we did in Rise and Sunbreak. Should be quite a fun fight, and, well, at least for me, who's never been particularly good at this particular fight, challenging one. And the little peek we got at the armor sets and equipment is everything I'd hoped it would be from seeing this stuff in Wild's art style and presentation and fidelity. It just looks lovely. But in a blink and you'll miss it moment, and from what I've seen of some reactions so far, a lot of people did miss it. It seems we are also getting my wish of it borrowing at least a few things from my personal favorite variation, Violet Mitsuzune. Did you notice those fire-filled bubbles and flammable gasoline liquid beam? That's some Violet Mitsuzune stuff right there, although it may also be somewhat closer to Soulseer Mitsuzune, who I've never fought because she was in a game I didn't play. But Soulseer was a deviant form of Mitzi, introduced in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. And Violet Mitzi and Soulseer already had a lot in common, so 6 one, half dozen the other. But Soulseer was a deviant who was blinded in battle, so I suspect that's probably not the case here. We'll have to wait and see, because they didn't really mention it or show it off at all outside of this fractional, literally blink and you'll miss it clip. And, just like I predicted, Mitzi is indeed not the monster they were delivering with the promise of a challenge level above tempered. And when it comes to the before now hidden monster with that challenge level, I'm mildly disappointed actually. It's Raidal. Which, well, that's not the disappointment. I like Raidal quite a lot. It's a very fun fight. So pretty happy for him to get more time in the sun, as it were, because, let's face it, Raidal did get a little overshadowed pretty quickly in the actual story. I think we were all expecting him to be a slightly bigger deal. But no, I'm mildly disappointed that the new challenge level we'll promise is just Arch-Tempered. Again, the same system we saw in World. I was really hoping for something a little more exotic, a little thematically appropriate to the area we're in. I was hoping for, like, Wilk mixing with the Frenzy virus, for example, to create some sort of souped-up hybrid Wilk Guardian Frenzy monster variants of some kind, because, let's face it, the Frenzy stuff in Wilds has been a pretty big letdown. Oh well. So for the few who don't know, the main difference between tempered monsters, which we already have of course, and arch-tempered monsters is arch-tempered monsters are tankier, so they have more HP, they hit harder, dealing out more severe damage, but most importantly, and the biggest difference, they include new moves that the base version and the tempered versions don't. So at the very least, it spices up the fight a bit more than just being a, beefier cake. And we are getting new armor with the arch-tempered versions, which is more enticing, which means more style choices, of course, never a bad thing at all in this game, but also more armor skill combinations, which is frankly sorely needed. I know we're still very, very, very early in the game's lifespan, but I have been very, very deliberately avoiding the meta endgame builds so far because they're all so dull and uninteresting and so samey. Like basically every meta endgame super powerful set you will see anybody using or anybody recommending or anybody making videos about simply using the same friggin' parts from the same 2 or 3 monsters. It is so uninteresting. So I'm really hoping the arch-tempered options start spicing up that choice a bit more. I should probably do a video about the set I'm using actually, because it's very, very off-meta, but it's still quite good and very flexible for a bunch of different weapons too. But thirdly, for the new fights, as once more yours truly predicted correctly weeks and weeks ago, the people freaking out and having little tantrums about not being able to fight Zoshia more than once have been proven, as I said they would be, to be funny little instant gratification babies, and all they had to do was just wait 1 single month. I said then that the fight was singular so as not to instantly water down the narrative importance of the singularly unique monster. And I said then, there's no chance in hell the devs would design such an epic monster, an astonishing fight, and not let us fight it again in high rank form. Of course they were going to do that, which of course is exactly what they're now delivering. And just as I said they would, it is bringing with it its as yet missing armor and weapon craftables, again in high rank appropriate forms of course. And oh my god, they look so goddamn cool! I can't bloody wait. And hey, I don't have to bloody wait, not more than a week anyway. So, I was right about Mitzi's glow up, I was right about Mitzi borrowing moves from things like Violet, I was right about it not being the promised tempered excelling monster, I was right about Zoshia's return, I was right about its equipment arrival, I was even right about the exact precise timing of the update's release, nailing it down to the exact day it would arrive as a matter of fact. So yeah, I think I'm entitled to feel a little smug about it all. Also addressing month 1 whiners who should just have had a little more patience than the average 2-year-old can manage, here comes the Gathering Hub. Held back from month 1 of the game, I suspect, to again help the narrative stuff hang in the air a little longer. Like, it just took a little time for the guild to negotiate with the locals about setting up this far more permanent presence of the Hunters Guild in these lands. Or perhaps more cynically, it just wasn't there at launch because they needed to polish it up and work on it because it was a bit broken or something. Who knows? Maybe it was narrative, maybe it just wasn't ready for release. Doesn't really matter, does it? Either way, it brings all the stuff and things that we want with it. I'm especially looking forward to the canteen. I don't know about you, but I have been eating bitch basic ration-only meals for almost every single meal I have ever needed in the game so far in my, 115 hours, 120 hours so far. Partly because I don't yet feel the need for extra food skills and buffs to help me out, and partly because it is just frankly a pain in the ass and not very interesting or fun to farm up and gather ingredients to maintain that stuff for complicated meals for every half hour of hunting or so. I'm really hoping the Gathering Hub canteen just works like the old games did. I can just order whatever goddamn meal I like and just simply pay for it with Zenny or points, and not have to bother about gathering up my own damn cheeses and shrimp and crap, because while that mechanic is interesting on the surface as a mechanic, in the game as a practical thing, it's just kind of tedious, isn't it? Even when they gave us event quests specifically designed to farm up bunches of cheese, it was still kind of tedious to do that over and over and over again just to get a few dozen bits of cheese. Didn't hate it, certainly didn't love it. I'd be very glad for an alternative. And also, I don't know about you, but I'm always hanging on to my more important, more powerful gathered ingredients anyway, in case I need them later, in a classic RPG buff hoarding fashion. Hands up in the down below, who has stashes of the biggest healing items in your inventories in a bunch of different RPG games, not just Monster Hunter, but all the other games, that you never ever use the most powerful versions, just in case the damn things become more important or more vital or emergency use later in the game. But you never use them. Like, literally never. I do that all the friggin' time. Same deal with these rarer ingredients. But the new hub also has fun little social things like the arm wrestling is back, mini games like barrel bowling. That seems a lot of fun. Seems you have to earn tickets to participate in it though, but you also get some consumable and decorative rewards for it. Hopefully those tickets aren't too hard to get, because I can see myself just sitting down and brain off doing this for a bunch of time. Hey, remember that bowling game in Zelda Breath of the Wild? It reminds me of that a little bit. Also, there's singing performances now, which is fun. I hope there's a lot of variety though, and not just like one song that gets sung every evening, or just one new song for any given seasonal event or something. That could get pretty monotonous very, 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 very quickly. It does remind me, though, a lot of the rather charming concert performances from Phantasy Star Online 2, and those were always a pretty damn fun community event thing going on. So I hope this is like that, just, more varied and fun and special. And of course, we are getting seasonal events and changes in the hub, just like World and Iceborne had, each bringing with it some unique stuff, new costumes on the servers and whatnot, and a fresh look and decoration of the space, and a return of cycling event quests and such, and special meals that are seasonally appropriate, all that kind of stuff. Enjoy that. And of course, once more, as yours truly predicted, we're getting the fleshed out arena quest system arriving now too. I'm hoping this one gets as occasionally wacky as World did. I was always just a little let down by Rise and Sunbreak's arena quests. I mean, they had some challenging arena quests to be sure, they were a lot of fun, and presented a decent challenge and had some good rewards and such. But it was also serious, wasn't it? While World had various events with crazy, silly gimmicks, like the one that had a bunch of moss swine in it, but they're all one-hit kills. So as soon as they touched you, dead. Or hilariously tiny or absurdly gigantic versions of existing monsters and the like. That was hilarious. Remember Teeny Tiny Odogaron? Just like the size of a dachshund? It was hilarious. But this time, for the very serious types, there's global leaderboards for clear times of special arena quests with preset gear sets and stuff. Not really my cup of tea, I have to admit to you. I never really engage with these systems much, if at all, but I'm sure it will be very enticing for some people. But the more standard free arena quests should be fun, and as is common, they'll have unique rewards with them as such, often in the form of cosmetics. In this case, we've been teased already that they'll have pendants, which frankly, I don't care about at all. Just I've changed my pendants once, and that's it. And frankly, in World, some of the fancier pendants some people would wander around with were extremely distracting. Those big, bright, floaty things and such, I hated them. But I'm at least hoping for some more unique, like layered armor to come along with this stuff too. And interestingly, you can even bring NPC support hunters to the free arena quest. So for offline players, or indeed many years down the road when the player base has dwindled away a bit more, they still remain practical to do. We also see the beginning of paid DLC starting now too. Alongside promises of some freebies with emotes and stickers and such comes the promise of paid-only stuff, in line with World and Iceborne and Rise and Sunbreak, plus new camp decoration stuff, a system I've not spent much time on so far, but always nice to have more options for. Then finally, we got teased with the first IP cross-pollination event, a Capcom collaboration. And I imagine, because of the cross-platform nature and cross-play nature for Wilds, most, if not all of these collaboration events will be Capcom IP-based. World, for example, had a couple that were PlayStation-style stuff, and they were exclusive to the PlayStation platform only. I can't see that stuff happening this time around. So yeah, probably it's going to be mostly, if not exclusively, Capcom stuff, but I guess we'll see. In any case, this first one is Capcom-based, and it's arriving at the end of May, which I predict is completely not coincidental that Capcom are also releasing Capcom Fighting Collection 2 in the middle of May. Hard to imagine they won't use it as a cross-promotional thing. So I would say get ready for some Street Fighter-inspired layered armor and such. It's almost a lock at this point. I'd be very surprised if my prediction on this was wrong. But I really do hope it's not Akuma again. The fact that anyone in Rise wearing the Akuma set was constantly and incessantly making that annoying grunting noise every 3 seconds drove me goddamn insane. I hated it. I would abandon hunts sometimes when someone showed up in that. I found it so disruptive and so annoying. I could not put up with it. Just, oh, stop, shut up. No! It was fucking obnoxious. So yeah, get ready for Street Fighter stuff. Hopefully not Akuma. Anyway, there you go. There's my 2 cents on the whole deal. Thanks for watching. I am Blundy. I'll catch you next time. And thank you to the patrons.